Stay tuned for a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission. The meeting will be broadcast using Zoom and the city's CTV Channel 3. Commission members may teleconference into the meeting without noticing or posting an agenda at their teleconference location. Besides the live TV and Zoom broadcast, the live stream of the meeting may be viewed online at cityofcalabasas.com/CTV Live. If you want to provide public comment, press raise hand if you're using Zoom or *9 if you're joining by phone. Just unmute yourself by pressing *6. Say your name and the city you live in. You'll be allowed 3 minutes to address the commission regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. If the power or internet goes out lasting more than 15 minutes, or if there's some event that prevents the commission from meeting or prevents you from providing public comment, then the meeting will be adjourned. Any items noticed as public hearings will be rescheduled to the next regular commission meeting. Any other agenda items the commission has not taken action on will be placed on a future agenda.
You hear me,
Now,
guys?
a meeting of the City of Calabasas Commission.
Okay, I'm on. Thank you.
Good timing. I believe we're ready to start the meeting, commissioners and Chair Fastberg.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the April 7th, 2022 meeting of the Planning Commission for the City of Calabasas. It's been a little while, so it's good to see everyone. I would like to note for the record, give me 1 second here. I need to change my. I'll tell you what. Can we do a roll call? I need to make an adjustment to my screen here, and right at this moment, I cannot see everyone who is present. So can the commissioners just call off who's present, please?
John Muller, present.
Robert Leah, present.
Michael Harrison, present.
Greg Byrne, present.
And Dennis Washburn, present.
Okay,
and when
terrific.
you can switch to the gallery view mode, then you can see everyone.
I'm sorry?
You can
I'm looking. Yeah, I'm on my laptop, which is something different because I'm in downtown Los Angeles. But let's proceed, and I'll get it worked out. Okay, so we have all commissioners present. Commissioner Mueller, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Happy to. Hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to
Pledge
the flag
to the flag
of the United
of the United
States
States
of America,
And to the
and
Republic
to the
to
republic
the republic
which it stands,
for which it stands,
One nation.
nation under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty,
with
justice
and justice
for all.
for all. Thank you. Okay, do we have any changes to the agenda?
I'll move approval of the
Okay, hearing
agenda.
none. Do we have
Second.
a motion to approve the agenda?
Yeah, I made the motion.
Second.
Okay, second.
Miller already
All in
seconded.
favor?
Oh, okay.
Aye.
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 The agenda is approved.
Thank you.
Do we have any announcements or introductions from the commissioners?
Well, the only thing I would add at this point is that we have a number of new faces that are going to be on the screen this evening. It might be good to have actually at least a word of introduction and a title, if there is such a thing.
Yes,
That would be great.
I was going to jump in when the commissioners are done with their own announcements to
Okay.
invite that. So you're ahead of me. I suggest we start
Okay.
with the newest fellow commissioner.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to working with you people.
Welcome.
Go
Welcome, Greg.
ahead.
Are you
Okay,
expecting
Ryan?
some words?
Ryan is our newest associate planner. Ryan, you have the floor. say hello. You can say a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here tonight as well, and good to meet all you virtually. I'm coming from the city of Malibu, so I've been with the city of Calabasas now since mid-January.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any, you're back to your regular announcements now, for anything you guys have.
Nothing here.
Well,
Have any announcements?
I actually have one. I would suggest that because there is a significant project taking place on Calabasas Road in Old Town, that it might be apropos to go to the Leonis Adobe springtime event this Saturday, the 9th, from 1 to 4, and experience that before the traffic gets, even more complicated because of the work that's going on in town. There's actually a lane closure now, and we're taking up, the city of Calabasas is taking up the Trex and the warped metal plates and doing a lot of work to make the atmosphere there nicer, newer, and less liability prone. And it's a good time actually to go and enjoy the Leonis Adobe Museum if you haven't been there yourselves. Again, it's Saturday, 1 to 4.
Okay, thank you. We have any other announcements? Okay, so we'll move on to oral communications, public comment. This is the portion of the program for members of the community who wish to address the commission on matters that are not on the agenda. Who's monitoring tonight?
Well, I've got my screen open to show attendees, so I'm trying to see if there are any hands raised. And I'm scrolling through and I'm not seeing any.
Okay. Then let's move on.
Chair, actually, there's one hands up right now.
That Cristiano. whatever.
Oh, there is one up there, yeah.
Okay, do you want to let them in, please?
Why is that
Okay,
person
I
not
did.
showing up on my list? Okay. I don't think I'm a host.
Okay, I gave her permission already.
Here we go.
Hi there. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Go ahead. Please state your name and city of residence.
Is a question for Cristiano?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, is Cristiano
Yes.
Minchio, Calabasas.
Okay, go ahead.
We just wanted to make sure we are here for the hearing. We just wanted to make sure we are capable to communicate with you guys. Just checking in, so sorry for that.
Oh, that's it?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's move on to consent items. We've got approval of the minutes from, let's start with December 16, 2021. Do we have any revisions? Any changes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I have a change. Again, we're stuck with the boilerplate, both minutes. We are not in the city council chambers. We have to indicate that it's a virtual meeting.
Okay, yeah, I thought that we were going to, well,
Yeah,
keep in mind that this was, I'm sorry?
I had communicated that to Liz, so I don't know why that still says that. I can't see where that is. Oh, yeah, right here.
It
Yeah.
it is listed, at least the copies I have in the packet have it as both and virtually at the end. Cover the need there. Commissioner Lee just note that it was a virtual meeting.
Well, that'll be in the recording anyway, so we're covered.
Oh, yeah, the word virtually is the last
Yes,
word in
it
the
does
first,
say in
in the first
virtually.
paragraph. Yep, it does say virtually. Okay, do we have any other revisions?
No.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December 16, 2021?
I'll move the approval.
Second,
Second?
second,
Thank you. All in favor of
Aye.
approval? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, the minutes of the meeting of December 16th, 2021 are approved. Moving on to the minutes of the meeting of January 6th of 2022. Do we have any revisions, any changes? We have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Do we have a second?
second,
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. All right, let's go on to new business. And everybody, I do apologize for my technical difficulties here. But aside from the rest of it, my phone is turned up, the volume is turned up all the way, and I'm not hearing really well. So if everyone will speak up, that would be very helpful. Okay, we are on to selection of new architectural review panel member. Tom, are
I'm
you
the one
going
that's going to
to?
deliver that, but right now I can't find, this is a technical difficulty day. I can't find where I log into the computer that has the PowerPoint for that. Because this meeting took up my whole screen. I've got to find a way to reduce this now.
Yeah.
No, it's still ticking up. I don't know why. Well, you might want to end up going with one of the other items first if I can't figure this out.
What's that view button at the
Alright.
top?
Matt, do we need a motion to take matters out of order?
No, consensus is fine in the case of tech difficulties.
Okay,
If you just share your screen, Tom,
Well, I
that-
know, but
that will show
but-
the slides.
except that the PowerPoint is on my computer in the office and I have to be linked to it to get it. So I'm doing that right now.
Oh,
So,
well, you can just sort of minimize the screen or whatever. Okay.
right, that's what I was struggling with.
Tom, is
I
a
may get there
PowerPoint,
soon enough.
it's a PowerPoint on the website as well, or no?
No, I've got that figured out now. I'm now trying to log into back into my computer. So,
No, they were slides that the public couldn't see, Tony.
Okay, I got it.
Perhaps we move to the next item and then we'll come back to the RP item.
all right. Let's move on to item number 3, which is file number APR 2022-001, SGN 2022-001, and SCP 2022-001. It's a request for an administrative plan review, sign permit, and scenic corridor permit for new signage and exterior modifications to an existing auto dealership located at 24400 Calabasas Road in the Commercial Retail Zoning District, Scenic Corridor Overlay Zone in the West Calabasas Road Planning Guidelines area. The project is exempt from environmental review in accordance with Section 15061B3 and Section 15301E1 of the California CEQA Guidelines. Presentation on this is going to be Ryan. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Okay, let me just make sure I get everything set up. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Not
Yep.
the full screen. You see your current
I know.
page and the next slide as well. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. This is good.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, commissioners. I'd like to start out by saying this project was noticed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject site. It was posted on the city website as well as throughout the city's required locations. No public correspondence was received. There was a change to the resolution, which was distributed to the commission yesterday evening. After the distribution of the agenda packet, staff discovered that per the city's sign ordinance and relative to the measurement of sign area, the area of the monument sign as depicted in the project plans did not meet the city's code requirement of 100 square feet. I'll cover that more a bit in my presentation. With that being said, let's get started. The subject property is a approximately 2.79 acre parcel zoned commercial retail with a general land use designation of business retail and is located within the Scenic Corridor and West Calabasas Road master plan area. The site is nestled between a few other dealerships. And the Calabasas Auto Spa. The project site was formerly occupied by Volvo, and then after that it was Mini, and then it went back to Volvo, and it is currently vacant. The proposed project does not involve a change or expansion of use, nor does it include an expansion of square footage. The applicant is requesting to make exterior changes in order to bring the existing structure and site into compliance with Cadillac's corporate design image. The proposed project also includes new drought-tolerant native landscaping and 4 new signs. There will be no change in the existing lighting, which was designed to be compliant with the city's dark skies ordinance. The site will still operate as an auto dealership, so there will be no change to the building's use. Here is an overview of the existing building. The original building was approved on September 17th, 2003 via a conditional use permit, variance and oak tree permit to construct an auto dealership. The building's construction was completed on August 3rd, 2005 and was in operation as a Volvo dealership. On November 15th, 2012, the building was remodeled to what you see today. The site was remodeled with a 2,836 square foot addition, facade change, reduction in height. The building was converted into a mini dealership as well. On February 5th, 2019, the auto dealership was converted back into a Volvo dealership, as you see today. The project's applicant, Jay McKean, would like to convert this space into a Cadillac dealership. Like most higher end auto companies, Cadillac has a corporate design standard. So the key component of this project is transforming the existing building into something that not only meets Cadillac's corporate design standards, but also meets the city standards, such as the Scenic Corridor and West Calabasas Road master plan area.
I'm sorry, Ryan, can you speak up a little bit? Wendy cannot hear you very well on the phone.
Sure. Is this a little bit better?
Loud as you can.
Okay. Here's an overview of the site plan. As you can see, there is no change to the footprint or expansion of the building. So the proposed project does not involve a change or an expansion in use, nor does it include an expansion in square footage. The applicant is requesting to make the exterior changes. Some of these changes include removal of the cantilevered portion of the jewel box, replacement of the exterior skin, the black cladding with new off-white and light gray aluminum composite metal panels. There's going to be an addition of EV chargers throughout the site. The mechanical equipment will be upgraded with no change to the location or an increase in height. And the entrance to the building will be accentuated with the bone line architectural feature in the center of the building. The landscaping will be updated to be native and drought tolerant, and there will be new building mounted signs and one monument sign. So here's an overview of what the project will look like. It's a daytime rendering. The bone line structure I mentioned before is just above that glass paneling. As you can see, there's some signage, some new landscaping, and the updated coloring and metal panels. Here is a nighttime rendering, and as you can see, the signs are lit with internal LEDs, which that leads us into discussion about the signage. Here's an overview of the proposed signs and the locations. Sign number 1 is a monument sign, which will replace the existing monument sign. The vinyl and acrylic logo and tenant name will be internally illuminated with LED lighting. The main building sign is sign number 2, which will feature the tenant logo as well as the tenant name. It is facing the freeway, and it will also be internally lit with LEDs. Sign number 3 is a certified service sign, again facing the freeway and internally lit with LEDs. And then just above that is sign number 4, which features the tenant logo sign. Here is an overview of how the signs will look like on an elevation of the building, as well as the monument sign, and a rendering of what those signs might look like lit up at night. Okay. So after the distribution of the agenda packet, as I mentioned, staff discovered that per the city's sign ordinance and relative to the measurement of sign area, the project depicted does unfortunately not conform to the code requirement of 100 square feet. So in red here, this is an option for the proposed changes to differentiate the sign area from the total monument size structure. So an option is to include these more gray aluminum composite metal panels to differentiate the signage from the base area. The sign area, including the tenant logo, name, and dealership, will not exceed 100 square feet as conditioned by the updated resolution that was distributed yesterday evening. No building permits will be issued until an updated monument sign plan is submitted, and it is subject to Community Development Director's approval. Here is another Cadillac dealership, which has a very similar design to the one proposed today. So this is what these signs might look like. The signs are lit with internal LEDs I had mentioned, and they do a good job of identifying the tenant without being visually oppressive. There has been no change to the use footprint or expansion of the building. There's no change to the lighting. The original auto dealership was conditioned to comply with the city's dark skies ordinance. I included that as the conditional use permit. It's an attachment to the packet. The lighting did not change in the 2012 remodel, and it is not proposed to change with this project. Aside from the aforementioned monument sign, which will be conditioned to comply prior to the issuance of any building permits, the signage is in conformance with both the city's sign ordinance and the approved sign program for this building. The project consists of exterior facade changes. There's no change to the use of the building. The project is required to be compliant with the original conditions of approval as approved under that original conditional use permit. The project site is located within the 101 Ventura Freeway Scenic Corridor. The purpose of the Scenic Corridor Overlay Zoning District is to protect the economic and cultural base of the city by preventing the destruction of the beauty, natural beauty and environment of the city. Some of those requirements are to avoid large blank facades, and landscaping should enhance the corridor and be drought tolerant and native to the area. The subject site is also located within the West Calabasas Road Master Plan's guideline area. The purpose of these guidelines is to provide clear recommendations for design, construction, review, and approval of development within the West Calabasas Road area. While not adopted as law, the guidelines are a tool to help achieve attractive functional projects that realize the goals of both the city and the community. The guidelines specify that the portion of Calabasas Road between Muro Road and Parkway Calabasas should accommodate vehicular dealerships and similar uses. So the proposed facade remodel uses several design elements to meet the design guidelines of the Scenic Corridor and West Calabasas Road Master Plan area. As proposed, the project uses both horizontal and vertical elements to help break up the massing of the building. The proposed project will also keep the varying heights of the roof line. The project uses significant glasswork, cladding, panels, exterior surface elements to break up the building massing and to create visual interest. The landscaping on the site, as I mentioned, will be native, and the parking lot landscaping will enhance the entrance to the building, as well as the architectural features such as that bone line structure up by that entry sign. The project was initially reviewed by the Architectural Review Panel on January 28th, 2022. The panel suggested some design changes, including that the glass glazing along the front should extend behind some of the more structural elements. As you can see, those poles are now behind the glass paneling. The project was continued to the February 25th Arp meeting. At that meeting, the panel noted that the revisions addressed their concerns. They noted that the updated design was a significant improvement over the original submittal, and the panel approved a motion to recommend approval of the project to Planning Commission this evening. Here are some photos of the surrounding dealerships in the area. We have Bob Smith, BMW, and Mini, a rendering of the recently approved Audi remodel and their Mercedes-Benz dealership. The three surrounding dealerships all feature similar architectural styles and colors. They offer consistency within the West Calabasas Road Master Plan area, while each incorporating unique design elements for each dealership's corporate branding. On October 1st, 2005, a sign program was adopted at this site. The sign program allows for multiple different signs included on this slide here. So one is the business name and logo module sign. That is conditioned to be building mounted, internally illuminated or backlit, facing the frontage road and not to exceed 80 square feet. A department module sign advertises a special service. It's building mounted, internally illuminated or backlit, facing the frontage road and is not to exceed 25 square feet. Monument sign is freestanding, adjacent to the exit drives, internally illuminated or backlit. The sign copy, including logos and graphics, shall not exceed 100 square feet, and the overall height shall not exceed 20 feet above grade. The graphic signage is building mounted, internally illuminated or backlit as well, facing the frontage road, and total graphic signage shall not exceed 72 square feet. The sign program also allows for accent frames and in-ground directional signs. The project does not propose either of these types of signs. So the proposed signs listed above on your screen here. Sign number 1 is the monument sign. It is currently 164 square feet as measured according to the code. It is going to be conditioned to be no more than 100 square feet. And is subject to review by the Community Development Director, as I had mentioned. Sign number 2 is that main tenant and logo sign. It is required to be no greater than 80 square feet. As proposed, it is 69 square feet. Sign number 3 is that certified service sign. It is required, again, to be no greater than 25 square feet, and it is proposed to be 21 square feet. And sign number 4 is that tenant logo just above the certified service sign, and it is required to not exceed 72 square feet, and it is proposed to be 17 square feet. The project is categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, Section 15301, existing facilities, Class 1, and Section 15311, accessory structures, Class 11. So in conclusion, the subject site will remain an auto dealership consistent with prior approvals of the conditional use permit. The proposed project meets all required development standards. The proposed facade remodel is well designed and compatible with the Scenic Corridor development guidelines, the West Calabasas Road master plan area, as well as the other structures in the area, as you see in those pictures represented earlier. The architecture review panel recommended approval of this design to Planning Commission, and the proposed project meets all the required findings for an administrative plan review permit, sign permit, and scenic corridor permit with the updated resolution in mind. Therefore, because the project meets all applicable development standards, complies with the West Calabasas Road master plan area and scenic corridor guidelines, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2022-738, approving file numbers APR 2022-001, sign permit 2022-001, and scenic corridor permit 2022-001. Before we conclude, I just wanted to give you some other pictures of some other similarly designed dealerships. Here we have Cadillac in Calgary. I included pictures of the nighttime signage of this building as well. This is going to be the same owner. As you can see, it has that same bone line structure architectural feature by the entrance, similar aluminum composite metal paneling, as well as coloring. And then here is that same dealership at night. With that, I'm open to any other questions, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ryan. Before I open the public hearing, are there any questions from the commissioners? And please understand, with my technical glitch, I can't see any of you, so you have raising your hand or indicating I'm not going to see you unless you speak. So
I just had
anyone have any questions?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Muller. I have a quick question, Ryan, on the monument sign.
Yeah.
So now that you've determined that the sign needs to be modified because of the square footage.
Right.
I'm trying to understand that bottom rectangle, the grayish area that you talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's that going to look? Is that just going to be a blank gray rectangle at the bottom of the monument sign?
Okay, so that was just a representation of what the applicant may do. As per the code, the way that the signs are measured, I have the definition here if you don't mind me reading it. Sign area shall be computed by drawing a line around the outer perimeter of the writing, representation, emblem, or other display, together with any material or color forming an integral part of the background of the display, or used to differentiate the sign from the backdrop or structure against which it is placed. So that was just an option of what the project applicant and architects can go for. Essentially, the way that the sign area is measured will be, as of now, the entire area aside from that gray panel at the bottom, as included in the sign plans. What I included in my presentation, and I'm happy to bring that back up if that would be helpful, was just an option for how the signage might be redesigned. But regardless, the proposed project, as conditioned this evening, will have to comply with the design standards in the municipal code.
What other kinds of options have you talked to the applicant about?
So other kinds of...
Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
Other kinds of options could be to reduce the height of the sign, bring in, the edges of the sign a bit, anything to get the square footage to be 100 square feet. There's a little bit of a differentiation between the sign program, the way that signage is potentially measured, and the code. So we just have to be sure that there's compliance on both of those fronts.
Well, I certainly hope that it doesn't end up with just a gray rectangle at the bottom, because it'll A, be ugly, and B, look like who's coming into this place next. It'll look like an open tenants area.
Right.
So I hope that you pay attention to that, but I understand the problem.
Yeah, I mean, any new signage that's going to be submitted to us is going to be reviewed. That example was just to show, again, one option, using the metal paneling that's already there, just to extend it. But again, we're open to options that would be in agreement with both the code and the sign program.
Right, and we're going to look for the applicant to bring us what their preference would be. For example, if you just took the same monolith, if you will, and just did in a narrower version, you could meet the requirements and you'd still have that pillar the way it's portrayed in their visual simulations. So that would be something we'll talk to them about. In the PowerPoint, the easiest thing to do is to do what we showed you. And so that's how it was portrayed. So sorry if that led to some confusion. That would have been my fault, because I had Ryan do that.
Well, that's all right, but this doesn't, you're saying this isn't going to have to come back to us because you're going to work with the applicant
Correct.
to A, comply with the code, and B, make sure it looks nice.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the decision will be ultimately up to the community development director. That's who it will go to for final approval, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions before I open it up to the public hearing?
So this is Michael. I have questions. Hi, I have questions of the landscape architect. Do you want me to do that later, or it's Mr. Gold?
Do we have the landscape architect here?
Yeah, he's there.
Right, don't you have
Yes.
to open the hearing to hear from others besides the commissioners themselves?
Yes, but what I'm wondering is, if Commissioner Harrison has questions of the landscape architect, I want to make sure that person is here. Otherwise, the question, I would assume, would go to you or to Ryan.
The landscape architect is present. Before you speak, Mr. Gold, I would suggest, why don't we open the public hearing?
Okay.
And then
the question was just whether he was here. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing now, and I believe we have admitted the landscape architect. So, sir, if you would identify your name and your city of residence, I guess we'll start out with the question of you by Commissioner Harrison.
Sure. You can hear me now?
Yes.
This is Tyler Gold. I'm a landscape architect with LA Group. Our office is located in Calabasas on Ventura Boulevard.
And your city of residence?
My city of residence is Westlake Village.
Okay, great. Shall we start with the question from Commissioner Harrison, or did you have a presentation you wanted to make?
No, just here.
Or are you here to answer questions?
Answer whatever questions you've got.
Okay, Commissioner Harrison.
Oh, thanks very much. Thank you, Chair Fastberg and Mr. Gold. I'm concerned about a couple things, and maybe you can answer them. You're proposing to remove the 4 Chinese pistache and the 4 crepe myrtles, but you're not replacing them with anything. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. Right now, the trees aren't looking very good. The maintenance program that was done on them was not positive.
Well, I think you're being kind. I would say they were butchered. The Chinese pistache anyway looks, I've never seen a tree like that, pruned like that. You can go to Old Town where we have a rows of Chinese pistache and crepe myrtles.
Recording in progress.
Or you can go to the Commons and you can see Chinese pistache that are pruned up so you can see underneath them. I'm not sure why there's echoing, but anyway.
That was me. I am
Oh,
back on as I should be on, and I can see you all. I just.
oh, great.
We see you twice.
We see you twice.
We see two of you.
I just don't want to leave. You know what? I don't want to leave with all the glitches tonight. I don't want to leave from the wrong place. So.
All right, no, I understand. So Mr. Gold, I'm just wondering if you can replace them but prune them properly. The trees that are there now, I mean, those at least the Chinese pistache look horrible. That they've been like topped into a lollipop or something, and that's not what you do for a tree like that, which can grow high and wide. And you know, we're a very hot city, and we have a certain look on Calabasas Road. And we're supposed to be, you know, we're a tree city. So to remove 8 trees and not replace them with anything, I'm concerned about that. Can you do that?
Yes, and some of them, I believe we are replacing. But like the frontage in front of the right between the cars, between the parking and the sidewalk, you know, I think the goal was to just clean everything up. The tree species certainly were not drought tolerant to begin with. And so the hope was really just to open up the frontage and put the canopy trees maybe on the sides. I know we also have some lighting issues there where we've got post lights that were actually in conflict with the existing lighting.
I was going to get to that. So the Chinese pistache that don't use much water, can you put them on the sides at least somewhere to shade the parking lots or something?
We could certainly add some trees to on the corners you're coming in to really, I guess, frame the views of the building.
Good, because it seems to be our look along Calabasas Road. The other question is, you know, well, actually, I have 2 questions. One about the palm trees. You know, I'm confused because when I go out there, I see the they look like Washingtonian, you know, they look like Mexican fan palm trees. But on your nighttime image on Exhibit A, page A, right on the cover, and then there's another page in there, they look more like date palms. Are you?
Yeah, I've brought up the comment to the renderer. They're 2 different palms. The palms that are out there now, they're perfectly good. They just need a little cleaning, but they're well skinned. And no, we're not promoting dactyliferas for sure.
Okay, so you're not replacing them for some reason.
No.
Okay. The other thing is on those dactylifera, the date palms, Phoenix dactylifera, whatever it is. I see it looks almost like the trunks have lighting on them, but I don't know if it's from below or if it's just sort of ambient light from the side.
I believe it's just the ambient light from the post lighting.
Good, because we're not supposed to be lighting upwards.
No.
And then finally, I love the selection of plants that you've made, and a lot of them are already there, but they're very disorganized looking. I'm not sure how they were put in. Are you?
Yeah, so that's gonna get a fresh go.
Okay.
There's an area off to the east side though of the project that has the oak trees and all that. That's an area that we aren't redoing. We're leaving all of that untouched. But ultimately, yes, we're putting a whole fresh spin on the frontage because again, the maintenance, the irrigation, all of that has not been well maintained and it's a little dilapidated. If you ever tried to replace it, you would destroy all the plants in the process anyway. So it's a fresh new.
Okay, so so many of the plants are the same, but you're organizing them better and they're going to be new. Okay, I appreciate that because it looks scruffy the way it looks disorganized right now.
No, and you're exactly right. It would look haphazard to try and keep portions that made no sense and try and infill with new and existing, that is not the intent at all.
Okay, I appreciate it. Try to plant, to replace the trees on the side somewhere, just to shade at least to shade the parking areas on the sides or something. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. No more questions.
All right, Commissioner Miller.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on Commissioner Harrison's excellent questions with Mr. Gold. Mr. Gold, first of all, I should say my personal preference is I'm glad to get rid of the stash and the other one, the crepe myrtle. I don't think they fit at all with a native landscape. They're not native to California. In fact, when Mr. Carr said there's going to be lots of native landscaping, I guess that's true in the sense that all plants are native somewhere, but most of these things are not native to California. And I was a little disappointed. I like the mix, but it's not native California. In fact, I think the only real native California thing that you're adding is the elk blue rush. Everything else is from Mexico or other places, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I did have a question though about you've got existing golden goddess bamboo someplace, and I can't see on the landscape plan where the heck it is. Do you know?
Yeah, so it's up against the pillar of the building on the east side when you're trying to go on the vertical elements. So they're the existing ones that were already there, and they're on the pillars of the building.
Okay, so that's not likely to spread like bamboo does.
No, not at all. And you keep in mind that's the shady side of the building, so they're actually doing quite well. So that portion, that hydrozone along the building is not going to be drought tolerant because the shade shadow of what the building is producing would not make for a successful drought tolerant plant scheme.
Okay, all right. Well, if they're there and they're doing well, and it can be limited in their expansion, I guess that's okay.
Yes.
The other question I had, sir, is about one new shrub that looks like it's called, is it pink muley grass?
Yes.
And that, if I saw it correctly on the internet, that's kind of a grass that has a very bright pink color to it. Is that correct?
It's the sister to deer grass.
Yeah, it looks like deer grass, but with Billie Eilish hair.
It's got a plume, it's like a flower. It's got a plume that happens one time a year. Yes.
Yeah, and with respect, it just seemed completely out of character to the really nice blue agaves and the rushes and the matte rush and the flax and all this other the Mexican blue sage, or all of those to me went well together. And then I'm just going to see the shaka pink once or twice a year, and it just seemed, I mean, deer grass or canyon prince grass or something to me would fit with all these the color palette better. I'm not going to say no. I'm just asking you to kind of take another look at that. As long as you're going to take a look at the trees, as Mr. Harrison has suggested, you might take a look at that, because there's so many native California grasses, including deer grass, that would do well where you propose to put that pink muley grass. So just take a look at that if you wouldn't mind.
Not a problem.
Okay, and I frankly didn't, Michael, I didn't find that the new planting, there's not that much, they're getting rid of stuff, but the new planting I thought was kind of a nice palette. I mean, I like the mix of grasses and sages and rushes and all. So I'm reasonably pleased with the way this is going to look from the front. It's a lot nicer than a lot of projects that we've seen.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that the plan was bad. The existing one looks disorganized and scruffy, and some of the plants are the same. So I wasn't sure what he was doing there. The existing one is very disorganized and
okay, I misunderstood you. Sorry.
The new one looks very organized and looks really nice.
Yeah, but it's not organized in an English garden kind of way. It's a nice, yeah. And the last question, Mr. Gold, and I'll let you go, at least for me, is did you consider other true California natives, manzanitas, more sages, more buckwheats, that kind of thing, and just conclude that they wouldn't last or work, or what was the thinking there?
So there's a couple of things that go with that, and it is the size that they grow to. When you're looking at a lot of these natives, you know, I love using oak as a great example, right? When you look at what they are and what you love about them, what you love about them is when they're at their maturity, and that doesn't fit the scale with which we're dealing with it. They've got a place elsewhere where we've got a little more space and a little more room to let them grow to their full maturity and get to the grace that they deserve.
Okay, so you think if you put in stuff, even though they're 1 gallons or 5 gallons, by the time they really were healthy and mature, they'd be interfering with the line of sight that you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, well, I'm glad at least you considered it. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I had.
All right. Do we have any other questions of Mr. Gold? All right. Thank you, Mr. Gold. Do we have any other representative from the applicant? Tom?
Actually, there are 2 more persons.
I see 2 other people with their hands raised, and whether they represent the applicant, I don't know. One is Jay McKean and the other is Caitlin.
Okay, Jay McKean is the applicant.
And Caitlin is the architect.
Okay.
So they both had their hands raised.
Why don't we let Mr. McKean in first?
Okay, I believe he can address the commission now.
Good evening, Mr. McKean.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I can hear you. Can you please just state your name and city of residence, please?
My name is Jay McKean. My city of residence is Calgary, Canada.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, are you here? Do you have a presentation, or are you here to answer questions from the commissioners?
I do not have a presentation. I would like to share a couple of quick thoughts with the commissioners, if I may. And I'm certainly available to answer questions if I can.
Certainly. Go ahead.
Thank you. So as I mentioned, I'm Jay McKean. I am the president of the Carter Automotive Group, which will soon include Cadillac of Calabasas. Now, I realize a new car dealership in an old car dealership location may not seem very exciting to all of you, but it is a project that we're quite excited about. We've spent a lot of time working with Cadillac corporate themselves, and we've tried to bring in features and a look that typifies their dealerships going into the future. We've worked with the landowner, and we have a long-term lease in place that's going to allow us to make and maintain the changes that we envision. And we just finished earlier this year working with the architectural review panel to ensure that we respected the local ordinances and visions of what that facility should look like. As you're discovering, we have on hand this evening our architect, our general contractor, and you've already heard from our landscape architect. You might wonder why Cadillac and why the Carter Automotive Group. An obvious one for Cadillac is the demographic and buying habits of the Calabasas area, which would favor their product. But it does go a little bit deeper than that. Cadillac has not only studied the current market situation, but looked forward in understanding what the desires of the local residents will be. Cadillac feels with their commitment to an all-electric vehicle product range by 2030, and most of those, by the way, are going to be introduced between later this year and 2025, it will match well with the anticipated driving habits and purchasing preferences of the Calabasas residents. The Carter Automotive Group was asked specifically by Cadillac to lead this project. This was in large part due to our success with the brand elsewhere and our commitment to the communities in which we operate our dealerships. But probably equally important, in 2019, we had constructed and opened Cadillac's first dealership in North America under their new corporate image program. And those are the pictures that you saw earlier this evening. Cadillac is looking for us to bring our experience from that project to this project. And I'd close by saying, answering the question, what will it mean for Calabasas to have Cadillac in their community on this site? We anticipate that we're going to open with a team of 30 employees, all hired from the local area and all with well-paying jobs and led by our executive manager, who is also local to the area. You're going to find us to be respectful of the space we occupy and the city ordinances and practices, and we'll be a great supporter of the local community as we are in our other locations. And to close, I would say we're not hoping to put more cars on the road in your community. We're only hoping that the ones that are there will have Cadillac badges on the front. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McKean. Do we have any questions from any of the commissioners?
Just one quick question, Mr. McKean. I noticed on some of the drawings, there was the phrase dealer name.
Yes.
Do we not know what that is yet?
The dealership would be called Cadillac of Calabasas.
I see.
Good idea.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
All
right.
If I could just make a comment, and it's actually having a little fun. It was specifically mentioned in the reports that the jewel box was no longer needed. And I was on the council when we talked about putting a jewel box there so that we could actually hang a Mini Cooper, vertically from the top in front of the jewel box, if you remember that whole discussion. I can't imagine we're going to want to do that with a Cadillac, but we don't know what you're going to be producing in the next 5 or 10 years. So maybe we ought not to reject that concept too quickly. But I'm actually making a joke out of that because we did debate that jewel box concept, and you see them all across the Southland here in different auto dealerships. And I think it's probably a wise choice to stick with the architectural style and the display approach that you're taking. So I'm ready to even move that we approve this recommendation.
All right. Well, we may still have someone.
Understand.
Tom, does the architect still have her hand up? Yep. Okay.
I did see your hand back up, so I will allow the architect to speak now.
Yep, please. Hi, are you there?
No, her audio is off.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you please state your name and city of residence?
My name's Caitlin Levchak. I work for Gory Whitfield Architects. Our office is in Dana Point, California, and I live in San Clemente.
Okay. Is there something that you wanted to say to the commission, or are you just here to answer questions?
I just wanted to say thank you to Ryan Carr. He did a wonderful job thoroughly going through the project. And I think that he described the architecture and the look that we're after pretty well. He didn't leave much for me to say, but I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Okay, well, are there any questions? Okay, seeing no hands up or response, thank you, Ms. Levchak. I appreciate you coming on. And I believe Commissioner Washburn, you were about to make a motion.
Yes, I actually moved the staff recommendation.
Close the meeting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, the public hearing is closed. Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler.
Now we'll make the motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a technical correction on page 2, item 13. It is not the existing auto dealership. It has to be changed to an auto dealership. The existing dealership is Cadillac, and that was not around in 2003.
I'm sorry, what, page 2?
Page 2, item 13. It says on September 17, 2003, the existing auto dealership. I believe the existing dealership is Cadillac.
Existing was
Well, it meant the
Volvo.
one in 2003.
2003 was Volvo.
Yeah, so it's not the existing one.
That's old documentation though, Bob.
You could say the then existing.
Yeah, or then or on, yes.
Previously existing would capture it.
Yeah.
Previously existing, there you go. All right.
Is that an amendment to the resolution?
Yes, item 13 on page 2 of the resolution.
Oh, okay. So we just add
Recites
the
the
word.
history of the prior usage.
This is Michael. I have some questions and another requested change, or some comments and requested change.
Right, go ahead.
So on comments, I mean, I'm very happy that Cadillac is coming back and all the way from Calgary. So Mr. Keene, this can be your winter spot. And I know there isn't, I was on the architectural review panel when we did that, the mini dealer with the jewel box in the front. But there's still a place, if you look at some of the images, where you could put cars on the second level in that big, huge glass front. And I'm looking forward to seeing one of those Celestique, I think that's what you call it, the one that costs over $200,000 and is handmade. I want to see that in the window. I do like the architectural changes. Design is, we talked about this in the Audi dealership. I think design is so important for automobiles. So to get your corporate design is important. I mean, you know, a lot of cars do the same thing. So design distinguishes them. You wouldn't see a lot of Teslas on the road if they all look like Edsels. So I'm very much in favor of all your designs. I'm glad that you were able to work out the problem or that you're going to work out the problem with the monument sign. The staff didn't give us that opportunity for the Audi monument sign. There's something odd with our ordinance that counts blank space and at the bottom of the sign when it shouldn't. And I've asked that to be reviewed by the council or whatever. And my only suggestion would be to extend the hours of construction. That's on page 11 of the resolution on Exhibit A and page 9 of Exhibit G. You know, these are your standard hours, but there's really nobody there. It wouldn't bother me if you extended it a couple of hours so they could get done more quickly. But I don't know how the rest of the commission feels.
And these are pretty lengthy hours. I mean, that's an 11-hour day, Monday through Friday. And I don't know.
It's light now. I mean, if they wanted to go another 2 hours, it wouldn't bother me, but it's up to you.
Any thoughts from anyone else?
Yeah, why don't we leave that up to the community development director? You know, if discretion makes everything work for everybody, then cool.
Great idea.
Okay. Any other discussion? Actually, any other discussion? I'm not going to call the vote yet. Any other discussion? No? Okay. I am going to reopen the public hearing, and Tom, I'm going to ask you to readmit Mr. McKean for a moment, please.
Okay. You should be able to talk now.
Mr. McKean, are you there?
I am indeed.
Okay. Have you reviewed the conditions of approval?
I have.
And are you prepared to comply with each of the conditions?
I am prepared to, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and we have a motion on the floor and
I'll remake the motion, Wendy, since we do have a couple of other additions in the discussion we just had. So with the factors that were just included in our discussion, if there's any material change necessary to the resolution, I would just say that we accept those because I don't see that there's any a disagreement with the consensus that we have so far. So I'll remake the motion at this point.
Okay, then we need another second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion as made by Commissioner Washburn to approve the resolution as amended. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, resolution will pass. Congratulations, and we will have another auto dealership soon. Okay. All right, Tom, are you ready for item number 2, or shall we go on to item number 4?
I believe I'm ready.
Okay,
I took the time to do that. So we'll do a screen share,
okay.
right? I had it up. Of course, I had to undo it. Now, where did it go? I had it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I've got it up now, and I just need to be able to do screen share. Somebody remind me. Ryan, you just did it. Where's the screen share button? Because I so rarely do that.
The green one called share screen, the green button at the
Bottom.
bottom.
You
That's
might
part
need
of the
to
row I
exit.
have there. The regular
Yeah.
row, or it has to be in Zoom.
You'll
Has
see it
to-
in Zoom, and then
So I
if
have
you
to
open up
open
the
up.
if you
I
open
have
up
to
the
un-
Zoom page, you should
I have to
see.
See the green button called share screen.
I don't think he's in Zoom.
I
It's
can't
in-
seem to exit minimized. There it is. Okay, I had to get out of minimize, so I saw it. I'm sorry about that. So now I should be able to have it shared, correct?
Yes.
All right. And I can't seem to move it. I don't know what's going on with my
Oh.
computer. I'm just having more and more trouble.
Click on 2.
Look on what?
Click on 2. You just moved it.
Well, I know, but this isn't the show. I mean, it's just not. It's not filling my
Oh.
screen for some reason. I can't enlarge it. But
Um,
that
Tom,
is this is
Click
it.
on the slideshow on the top. Yeah, up a little bit, right there.
It won't let me
No.
even move it, is the problem.
Tom, it's readable as it is. Just go work with it.
So I will do that.
Yep.
I apologize. I don't know why everything is on top of other things, so I can't even, there we go. There's slideshow. Finally. So, all right, we're gonna be doing the selection of your ARP members. And it is a commission appointment. This is unusual, but it's because the ARP is a body that advises to the planning commission. You should be selecting members who are, as a result of their training, experience, and attainments, are qualified to analyze and interpret architectural and site planning information. It does specify in the code that at least one member of the ARP must be a licensed architect. And there's a preference for, but not a requirement, that the members be Calabasas residents. Purpose of the ARP is to preserve and enhance the beauty of the city's environment. I won't list everything there, but suffice to say, they're the ones that are going to look at how, in terms of not only building design, but landscape, combination of structures and the landscape, everything harmonizes with the surroundings to include our scenic corridors and the surrounding built environment as well. The ARP is to encourage the highest quality of architectural design, green building, and construction methods, such that they're the least disruptive to the site and community, and they balance private prerogatives and preferences with the interests of the general public. Our design guidelines include the general plan itself, particularly the community design element of the general plan. And in the development code, those chapters, scenic corridor overlay, landscaping standards, our lighting, or dark, what people call the dark skies ordinance sometimes, our sign ordinance, oak tree protection guidelines, and as well as these various general property standards that are all listed in chapter 1720, community standards, design considerations, fences, walls, hedges, freeway corridor development, height measurement and limits, hillside and ridgeline development, screening and undergrounding of utilities. The ARP meetings are required for new single-family homes and the larger home additions in the residential zones listed there. Also for scenic corridor development projects, new commercial multifamily and community development forum projects. So where a project would trip a requirement for a community development forum, that also puts it into the ARP realm. Those meetings are broadcast on CTV from time to time, but not always. Usually that would be the case on a larger, more complex project and in a highly visible area, commercial node of the city or something like that. They're noticed and open to the public at all times, whether televised or not. And the ARP meets generally one or two times a month, and they meet in the late afternoon, mid to late afternoon on Fridays. That's the time. We currently have 4 members, Will Shepard, who's a licensed architect and engineer. We've got Camille Merchadechian Arman, who's also an architect, Shada Moradi, also an architect, and Supriya Kulkarni, who also is at least educated in architecture. I don't believe she's currently a registered architect. And then, of course, we have the vacant position, which is why we're with the commission tonight. So we have 2 individuals who have applied. So I'm going to have to rely on somebody else because I'm sharing my screen. I don't know, maybe I can look at participants at the same time.
I'll do that.
I beg your pardon? Tony Yin said something that I couldn't.
No, I can monitor the attendee side for you.
We're going to want to make sure that our 2 applicants are available to speak sometime soon here. That's all. So we have 2. We're going to ask the commission to ask some questions of the 2 applicants. And staff suggests that you start off asking one and then the other to give a summary of their experience and credentials, particularly, and that's the second bullet, relative to general design knowledge. And then I've got a number of slides I'll proceed to after that, starting with one candidate and then going to the next to give them a chance to critique a few buildings, none of which, by the way, are from Calabasas. So that would be a way to start things off. And then after hearing all of that, as a body, you will consider the 2 applicants and make a selection. Okay, so this
Tom,
is where I'll
Tom, can I
lead
ask you a
off on the
question?
building items.
Tom, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I think in the past, we've had a single seat open, but we also had the opportunity to select an alternate in the case that there were an issue to that effect. Is that still the case?
Well, what we have, the architectural review panel is 3 members and 2 alternates.
Okay.
And so that's why we have 5 altogether. We have 4 now and are filling the second of the 2 alternate positions basically this evening. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I'm wondering if it might be advantageous if we have this many folks who are interested in being a part. Is there any limitation on having alternates? Basically, it's being a backbencher and learning in the case that we have changes, and if we have 2 folks that are qualified and we select one as a primary, and then a second as an additional alternate, so-called, but specifically alternate instead. That gives us a little deeper bench and have more opportunities to get professional experience in dealing with the issues in front of the city.
Well, I don't, the
I'm happy
section.
to jump in on that one. So at this time, Commissioner Washburn, the code only contemplates 5 members, 3 members and 2 alternates. The idea of adding a deeper bench certainly makes sense, but I think we need to look to council to expand that window. That said, though, there's 1 vacancy right now, 2 applicants. Whoever is not chosen could certainly continue to participate in the process, and staff could take it up with, suggest to council considering amending the code to expand the window or to allow additional alternates. But this time I'd recommend making a selection of 1 out of the 2, reflecting the fact that we have 1 vacancy.
I understand. One of the things that we discussed in a previous meeting, and maybe even at the council level, and that is that if we have folks who want to attend and be a part, they certainly can be a part of the thing without being official at this point, but then they have experience as an alternate or as a candidate for the commission seat ultimately. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to discourage anybody just because we have just 1 seat to fill, and it could either be considered, you know, a permanent member or an alternate, depending on what happens in the next few months.
I tend to agree with Dennis. I've been on this panel, and the discussions are very informal, and any input would be helpful, even if the person can't necessarily vote. And often people are absent because they're working or for whatever reason. So it wouldn't hurt. I don't see how it would hurt.
Well, but if I heard Matt correctly, we don't right now tonight.
We don't have the authority.
We don't have the authority to do it. Now, there is nothing
Right.
to stop the second person, the person who is not chosen tonight, from attending. These are, you know, they're
Right.
open to the public. They can
Right.
certainly attend and participate to a certain degree until such time as we do have the authority to make some kind of additional appointment. But for tonight, we're going to have to keep it to following the guidelines that we have and choosing a candidate.
And Wendy, can we vote differently than last time? It used to be that we each got to vote for somebody, and on the last time we did this, somebody made a motion for 1 person, and then we had to vote yes or no, which was awkward because that person may be qualified, but not necessarily what the planning commissioner wanted to choose.
We
Do you know what I'm saying?
we can certainly poll each commissioner for their choice.
Okay,
Okay,
so there's
Agreed.
no that
That'd be
way.
fun.
okay.
Okay, so if the commission is agreeable to start, as I summarize here, to invite, and if we were to go in an alphabetical order, they both begin their first names with A, but Anthony Bonifant begins with B for the last name, and Alan Dabach begins D with his last name. So we're at the beginning of the alphabet either way, but Anthony Bonifant would be first, and then Alan would be second, and
Right.
have them introduce, in essence, themselves, give you a quick synopsis of their experience and interest to be on this panel, and that would get this started.
All right, let's do it.
So let's see here, Anthony.
Both of them are in the panel already. They can turn on their cameras.
Yeah, I'm looking. I
They're
don't-
already in the panelist group, Tom.
Oh,
It goes
okay,
by
they're already in
Tony.
as panelists now. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Okay. I've asked him to be unmuted. There we go.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I
Yeah.
can.
Yes,
Hi, there we go. I think I'm in.
you are in.
Yes, now we see you.
So, question. My interest in being on the committee. One is I've been living in Calabasas for 20 years. I live in Mountain Park Homeowner Association. I moved to Calabasas for the same reasons that I want to be on the architectural committee, which is I used to live in Encino and did not like how the ambiance of Encino was going. Had the pleasure of visiting Calabasas with some friends and loved the area so much. I bought a house in Mountain Park. I don't have the kind of experience, the professional experience that you've listed. I'm not an engineer or an architect. In fact, I'm a CPA. My experience comes from living the lifestyle in Calabasas and watching how things have changed in Calabasas. My experience also comes from being a property owner, I own about 5 other properties. I rent properties. I've done the dreaded flipping of properties. I've probably flipped about 40 homes. And in developing those homes, I've gained a lot of design experience and understand design, a little bit of architecture and engineering and construction, and actually lived through all of those sorts of events. And so those are the reasons why I want to be on the architectural committee. Again, mostly to sort of be involved in the way development or upgrades of the city have taken place. I want to be involved in, having an interest in say in how things look and appear.
All right. Thank you. Well, and I think that you've encompassed in what you said, a kind of a summary of your experience and credentials, as well as an overview of your general design knowledge. So thank you. Is Alan Dabach on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
You gonna kind of go through for us a summary of your experience and credentials, and as well as an overview of your general design knowledge?
Yeah, so I am a licensed general contractor. I grew up in construction. I actually grew up in Calabasas, left Calabasas for a few years and then came back. So I am a homeowner here in Calabasas. For the last 14 years, been a high-end custom home developer, mostly on the west side. So that's what I do day in and day out. So we do anything from 2,000 square feet up to a house we're doing now that's 21,000 square feet. So anything up and down that aisle is kind of what we're doing on a daily basis and involved in every decision from start to finish. Most of the projects we do are our own projects that we're buying, we are developing, and we are selling. So we've done the custom homes. I've been involved in apartment buildings and a few other things. So pretty vast knowledge of the construction aspect and understanding plans and architecture. As far as why I wanted to apply for the position of the architectural committee was just to kind of have, again, kind of like Tony had mentioned, just keeping our city beautiful and appreciating what's here, and to make sure that that maintains and stays the way it is, with a keen eye of, doing this on a daily basis to make sure things aren't going to slip through the cracks potentially.
Okay, thank you. Tom, do you want to take us to the kind of fun, unless, do we want to take questions from the commissioners, or do you want to go to why don't we go to the fun part of this first?
Okay. So this is where we get to, I guess, and we've done it this way before, so this isn't new to our commissioners, although it'll be a little new to Greg since he's newly on the commission. So we're going to ask the candidates to examine some images of buildings. There'll be one building at a time. And again, I think I said this before, but none of them are from Calabasas. So don't anybody worry that what you're looking at is somewhere in this city. I don't even know where they are. I don't want to know. The candidate will then offer his observations and critiques of that building and provide any recommendations or suggestions that they might have offered for design improvement, as though the building was proposed for construction in Calabasas and the candidate was doing this critique as an ARP member. So let's get started. I'm going to randomly select them. I've got about 21, but I'm only going to select like 3 for each of our candidates to opine on. So it's not a matter of picking certain ones for a certain candidate. Let's just start, since we started with Tony, he gets the first one. So Tony, yes, there's a chance for you to contemplate a ARP applicant coming before your panel with this design.
Okay.
And Tom, you may need to reshare your screen so that the.
Oh, well, I'm
the,
sorry.
Yeah, we don't
samples
see
are
it
That
yet.
happened again, huh?
I'm
Technology.
glad you're not doing all 22 images for each of them. We'd be here all night.
How do I get?
And as Tom noted, the intention of this is to create a process to understand the sort of how the ARP
Right.
process works, and the opportunity for the commission to see how the two candidates sort of a little bit of thinking on your feet.
There we go. So now I've got to get back to the Zoom part. And find that, because now it's again not coming up. Where is it? I keep clicking on my Zoom and it's not there. Oh, here it is. So now I've got my share back. Now I got to find my PowerPoint again. Okay. So now we're back where we were.
Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Am I just gonna?
What you'll do is just offer your observations of what you see. If you recognize it as any kind of design style, you could offer that. And then, of course, as you would look at this, a proposed new dwelling in a neighborhood in Calabasas, you might offer your suggestions on how it might fit in with a Calabasas neighborhood better through a change of some feature or features.
Okay.
Plus landscaping.
Yeah, you could
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Please include landscaping.
Right. I mean, the first thing off the top of my head is, wow, this thing needs some landscaping. The particular shrubs involved here don't look like they belong in the city of Calabasas or pretty much anywhere. Obviously, the gravel in the whole front yard and just the ambiance in the front yard really looks like it's coming from the moon. Just the landscaping is it's just obvious. The same with hardscape opportunities that could be taken to improve the looks of the front of the house. The shape of the house and the roof line and the lack of visibility of the roof itself doesn't fit into Calabasas. I don't know what kind of style you would call this. Just the lack of windows. The windows that do exist are small, narrow. It's a completely unattractive house in general, but certainly doesn't fit or manage to fit into the community at all. I think I could go on and on. It looks old. The materials that are being used on the exterior are plain and boring. There's just no feature to the house that adds any interest to the house. And again, just doesn't seem to fit in.
Okay.
That would be.
Okay. Do you have any final thoughts, or that do it?
That does it.
Okay. So now we will ask Alan to look at this one.
Does not have much curb appeal. The asphalt driveway wouldn't work in our community here. Landscaping needs quite a bit of improvement. The additional second story that looks like it was just lopped on overnight doesn't work as far as the aesthetic, as far as massing, as well as the roof line is not appealing, and the carport is questionable how it was constructed and the way it appears from the street. I'd probably leave it at that.
Okay, so, and then I'll just suggest this to both
Go ahead.
candidates. After you give the observations, it'd be great if you could then follow that with, okay, if you were going to recommend to the designer or architect, thinking of this as maybe a set of plans instead of an actually built building, what would you recommend to that person to improve the design to avoid whatever you've already identified as a flaw?
I'd ask for a little bit more detailed hardscape plan or proposed hardscape plan on this one. I'd ask for some kind of finish on the wall on the side that's just got openings on the carport with potentially a garage door to kind of finish out the space. The second story, I'd like to see some kind of roof line that integrates into the main story on the second level. And maybe just a little more detail on the roof material.
Okay. Okay, does that conclude for you, Alan?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're back to Tony. And here's one for you to contemplate.
Well,
if anybody hasn't guessed, we're purposefully giving each of our candidates some difficult, shall we say, ugly structures to deal with.
Yeah. I'm wondering what part of the country this is even from. Looks like the East Coast or something. So again, you know, I'm a big believer in landscaping, in softening up lines and edges of a building. And this obviously has no landscape, and it looks like it's winter, so it's hard to tell what these trees are really going to do. But obviously, the structure of the house itself, even if we enjoy the structure of the house itself, needs to be softened up with landscaping. That being said, the structure, the design of the house, again, it is ugly. It's not something I would say to somebody presenting this building, but I would say, again, it doesn't fit into the neighborhood. I don't know what kind of design this really is. I don't know what sort of architecture this is. Everything from the looks of that balcony over the front door, the arches over the windows. It just doesn't fit. I do like the roof line. If we could get rid of all of the arching in the front of the house, the roof line is interesting. I can't tell what the finishes on the finishes on the walls of the exterior is, but to me that's always important. The windows themselves, you know, they're plain, they're boring. If they were different finishes around the windows, casements around the windows instead of these arches and things. The pillars in the front of the house just don't make any sense. The structure in the center of the driveway makes no sense and doesn't seem to fit in with the house itself. I'm not even quite sure what that is. The driveway, it appears to be concrete, so that's probably works. But again, there's more that can be done with hardscape and landscape. So my recommendation would be to get rid of the archy roundness of all those structures in the front of the house, getting rid of the balcony that seems to be over the front door, and changing that whole look of these archways, or eliminating the archway sort of thing. Come up with some other design that would make more sense.
Thank you. So now we're back to Alan. Let's see here. Alan, the one you're going to focus on is the one in the middle.
Looks like it's the back of the house, even though it's the front, that one. Yeah. From the street, the boulders, although I'm okay with boulders, I don't think that that's aesthetically pleasing in the way it was set up from a hardscape and an entrance standpoint. The roof line is horrific at best from a street scene. It's ugly to say the least. There is no character or articulation there other than just sloping down like a skateboard ramp. No windows in the front at all. It looks almost like a commercial building from the front in some way, shape, or form. The homes on either side are representative of the neighborhood, and this is somebody dropped something from a different planet in the middle of it. So how do you fix this? We'd probably have to cut the roof line at the pitch and try to add some windows on the second story, as well as incorporating windows on the first floor, and cleaning up the hardscape on landscape to try and make it work. I don't know how easy it would be for them to do it, but that would be the only option to make it work.
Okay. Hope you're having fun. I know I am. Okay. So we're back to Tony. This is number 3 for Tony. Different scale.
That looks like it's in Calabasas.
It's not.
Yeah, that Well, I mean, sadly, this sort of looks like some things that have been built in Calabasas in some ways. You know, we not a fan of turrets to be honest with you. I don't see how they fit in with our neighborhood. But even if turrets were okay, they're inundated themselves with windows that are extremely distracting. I do enjoy complicated roof line, so that sort of makes some sense. If we got to have some turrets, I would limit it to one and change up the looks of the front by limiting, you know, at least two of those turrets. All three, if I could talk you into it. Landscaping, not bad. Again, not much landscaping that's tall, and there's not much landscaping that breaks up the hard lines of the building itself. Hardscape, I'm okay with. Not so sure about the color of the roof. It's interesting, but I'm not sure if that fits in with Calabasas. It looks very stark in general. And that's my critique of that building, including some changes I'd probably make to it.
Okay. All right. Have you finished?
Yes. I'm
Oh,
done.
okay. All right. I don't want to interrupt anybody, so I'm trying to not jump in until I think you're done. All right. So that gives us to the last slide, the last one for Alan.
Yep.
Can have fun. I'm whipping through. I thought this might be one that would be good this evening.
Okay. Roof line is okay. It's not great. It needs landscape on the front. I'm trying to think where this would fit in Calabasas to start, but the opposing roof lines don't really match. Again, it looks like a Lego put together incorrectly. So that could be corrected with the roof line on the upper level to kind of match the gable on the front. Obviously a different color scheme without question. I'd try to add some glass and windows more than what you're seeing. Maybe a different set of windows so you don't have the screens peering out from the front. The overhang is not an ideal setup. I'd ask if those posts were able to be moved over to the edge of the roof line to actually look like it was a normal walkway. And then landscaping to match with a fence that doesn't look like it's going to fall apart. I'm completed at this point.
Okay. Now, I apologize that it's like we had to have you critique actual buildings rather than a set of plans, but we can't replicate a set of plans because plans are copyright protected. So
no problem.
So this was our best reasonable facsimile. So thank you both.
Sure.
So now we get to toggle through some of the ones we didn't go through. I have had a bunch. Look at all the fun things we could have critiqued tonight. We'll save those for next year. So that's the end of my slideshow, and wish you all the best. Both of you, good luck. Our commissioners are going to do their bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Questions from any of the commissioners?
I just had a quick question for Tony. What kinds of, you don't need to name the clients, but what kinds of clients, generally speaking, did you or do you represent in the accounting area?
Yeah. Well, my background is from a worldwide size CPA firm, and where we did financial statement audits, compilations review. And so I went out on my own, and I do mostly that sort of work. So I do have clients in the leasing business, computer leasing business, automotive leasing business. I've got your large doctors. I have my share of entertainment clients, a lot of service providers, a couple of restaurants, and that's sort of the kind of clientele I have. I'm not a gigantic tax preparer person. I'm a financial statement auditor kind of person. But since I have my own private practice, it's unavoidable to not do taxes, which is what I'm doing right now as I was waiting for my chance to speak, actually.
What percentage of your business is accounting versus the property management side, I guess I call it?
Well, property management is when I'm managing my own properties. I probably have about 5 of those. So sadly, that's a hobby, if you want to believe that. I'm not the kind of person that I can't sit around and watch a football game on the weekends. So that's the sort of thing that keeps me occupied on the weekends, is managing some properties. But 100% of my 9 to 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. job is in my accounting firm. And, sprinkled throughout the day, you pick up phone calls to either talk to a contractor or a tenant, but not very often. My real estate portfolio is extremely stable. My tenants love where they live, and I have very little problems in that area.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, do we have any other questions? All right, if there are no questions, let us go to a vote. And as requested by Commissioner Harrison, we will do this by way of poll. Commissioner Harrison, you want to go first in terms of your vote?
Sure. I think both of them are extremely qualified. On number 7, house number 7, I would have pointed out all the grass. We can't have an acre of grass here. That's just not going to work. And the light gray roof, I think, is actually a good thing because it reflects more heat. But so I would again, I think you're both highly qualified, and but I would prefer Alan DeBach.
Okay, thank you. Who would like to go next? Okay, Commissioner Washburn. You are muted.
Now we can hear me, right?
There we go.
Good.
Yeah.
I agree with Michael that you're both highly qualified for the kinds of things that we face in Calabasas. And before you came on camera, we had a discussion about the fact that the architectural review panel is an open meeting, and we have some dynamic character to those. So if one of you is ultimately the victor in today's discussion, that doesn't mean you can't be a participant and ultimately a candidate to be on the architectural review panel, and particularly if you're already serving as a volunteer, more or less. So again, I think in sync with Michael. I think both of you would be a real asset to the panel, but I like Alan, and I guess the quick judgment on how to deal with I guess both the assessment and the remedial qualities of what might be in front of us as a planning commission in the future. So my selection would be for Alan, but I encourage you, Tony, to consider being a part of the process, because we do have change.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Muller?
Yes, I will echo Commissioner Washburn and Harrison. Honestly, this is no joke. I rarely have seen 2 applicants as articulate and qualified as you guys. I really mean it. And I would also say, again, quite candidly, you're both eminently qualified to be on the planning commission if and when a vacancy opens and you'd be interested in that. On balance, and I mean, it's as close as a razor's edge, I also would go with Mr. DeBach, principally, and again, just it's so close because of his experience in developing properties in Calabasas. So he kind of slightly knows this territory vis-a-vis construction design than Tony does. But again, it's so close. But so on balance, I would go with Mr. DeBach, but would absolutely hope that Mr. Bonifant would stick around and stay interested, and perhaps even think about the planning commission when that opens up too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Leah?
I would also echo my preceding commissioners. Both gentlemen seemed very interested, and I was impressed that neither one said burn it to one of the buildings that they were showing. I think if it was me, I would have offered that on both occasions where it was warranted. It's very close, but again, I think experience is the deciding factor here. So I would go with Mr. DeBach.
All right, thank you. And I think enough has been said. And so I would just, I agree with my fellow commissioners with their full assessment and with their vote. So I would say, Mr. DeBach, congratulations.
Thank you very much, everyone.
And Mr. Bonifant, as has already been said, the meetings are certainly open to the public. They can be attended. You can attend. You can get a feel for how it goes. And, you know, openings do happen. So please do stay interested, stay engaged. There will be other opportunities.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time, and I certainly respect your decision, and highly respect what you guys did in the first hour of the meeting as well, the way you analyzed the whole the car dealership situation. And so I appreciate your time, and I will continue taking an interest in the community.
Terrific.
Thank you, sir.
If I may, very quickly, if I may, Madam Chair, just to offer to Mr. Bonifant, please go ahead and contact, well, we have your information, I guess, already, but if you want to get the notices for the ARP meeting, just let me know and we'll be sure to have you on the mailing list.
Okay, actually, I think I am on your email list too, and I get those notices. So,
all right,
so I'm good there. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank
you,
sir.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Wendy, could we take a really short, like 5-minute break, or is this a short item? I mean,
well, let me ask Tom, do you know, or we can ask Jacqueline, is this a pretty quick matter, likely?
It's a straightforward item. I mean, we have all the information more than you need, really.
Okay.
We can make our presentation quick. I think Jacqueline knows how to speak, double speak. It's up to you guys.
Michael, Michael, if it's a quick matter, you think you can hang tight?
well, I mean, I just have to, well,
Let's take a break.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
thanks. It'll just be real fast.
Just mute your camera and your mic and away you go.
Yeah. And as soon as he is back, we will be back. Okay. Are we all back?
Thank you.
One, two, or wait, let's see. Commissioner Washburn, I don't see you. Does anybody see Commissioner Washburn?
Nope.
All right.
Or Leah.
I do see Commissioner Leah.
Oh, okay.
The boxes move around for some reason. I don't know why.
I know.
All right, as soon as Commissioner Washburn gets back, we
We do
will.
view gallery there. Okay.
Yes.
I was on the wrong view.
That
There's
changes
Bob
by
Leah.
itself sometimes.
Yeah, right. And Wendy still has another name down the right hand. She's still there twice, only once in person.
I'm twice? Oh,
Yes.
I only see myself once now.
Oh, yeah, you have another.
Well, we see
And
you
lighting.
once and then you have a box, so you get to vote twice.
It's like, what was that, Hollywood Squares?
That's right.
And I've struggled with the lighting because it got dark outside and I was using outside. I'm in a hotel room and trying to get the lighting right. So I finally found a place, there's not a lot of lights. There's no central light in the room. So.
Did you do your mediation there?
No, I've been in arbitration down here all week,
Oh, okay.
and
You didn't want to commute. I understand.
well, I did commute for a couple of days, and then no. Well, the issue is the earliest we finish is 5 o'clock, and there was no way I was going to get home to join the meeting. I just, and we have not met in so long that I just did not want to miss this meeting. So easy enough to walk across the street, come to my room, and except for the technical difficulties, which I've never had before with Zoom. It was very strange and challenging. And
It worked out.
Greg, Greg Byrne, I can see you now. I couldn't see you when the introduction, so my apologies. Good to meet you. Okay.
Cheers, Dennis.
Commissioner Washburn is back. Let's move on. Item number 4 is file number CUP 2022-003. It is a request for conditional use permit for a new retail tenant, MSFTS Rep, located at 23504 Calabasas Road, Suite 3 and 4, within the commercial Old Town zoning district, Scenic Corridor overlay zone, and Old Town master plan area. The project is exempt from environmental review in accordance with California CEQA Guidelines. Jacqueline, you're making the presentation?
Thank you, Chair Fosberg. I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Before you tonight is a request for a conditional use permit for a new retail tenant, Misfits Rep, located at 23504 Calabasas Road, Suite 3 and 4, within the commercial Old Town zoning district, Scenic Corridor overlay zone, and Old Town master plan area. I also want to start out by mentioning that this project was noticed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject site. The notice was also posted on the city's website and throughout the city at all required locations. And staff did receive a few comments from residents that wanted to know more about the proposed retail operations and why a conditional use permit was required for the business. Once that additional information was provided to the residents, no concerns were expressed. Here we have an aerial map. The project site is outlined in green here. The property is located at the intersection of Calabasas Road and El Cannon Ave within the commercial Old Town zoning district. The center is also located within the Old Town master plan area and the Scenic Corridor overlay zone due to the proximity of the site to the 101 freeway, which is just to the north here. However, no Scenic Corridor permit was required for the scope of work because the scope is limited to interior improvements only. The surrounding land uses include other retail tenants and restaurant tenants to the east along Calabasas Road. It also includes a senior housing development to the south. And to the north, we have a restaurant, which is Sagebrush Cantina. And to the west, we have a healthcare center, which is the Motion Picture Television Fund. And those two businesses are actually outside of the city of Calabasas within the city of LA. So you can see the city's boundary here in red in this image. The subject site, which is 23504 Calabasas Road, is part of the Kramer Store building in Old Town Calabasas, which is one of the oldest commercial buildings in Calabasas. There have been several additions to the building throughout the years, but most of the original portion of the building, which is the two-story portion, of which Misfits will be occupying the first floor, most of that two-story building is still recognizable today. As such, the building is eligible for designation under the local landmark office. It is not designated historic, but it is eligible, and therefore there are no exterior changes being proposed. Again, this is a proposal for a request for a conditional use permit to allow for a new clothing retail tenant, Misfits Rep, located at 23504 Calabasas Road within the commercial Old Town zoning district. Calabasas Municipal Code Section 17.62.060 requires conditional use permit requests to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. And the city's land use table, which is Calabasas Municipal Code, section 17.11.010F, stipulates that a retail clothing store shall be allowed in the CT zoning district via a conditional use permit, only where also in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan. And the Old Town Master Plan does encourage ground floor retail on this specific parcel. We have a photograph of the subject site as viewed from the sidewalk. This is the two-story portion of the building known as the Kramer store. And the first floor portion right here is what Misfits is proposing to occupy. You can see it's behind this hedge a little bit here, but there's also a one-story portion of the building, which is the adjacent Suite 4 that Misfits is also proposing to occupy. Again, because this portion of this building is a eligible historic property, there are no changes being proposed to the front. So this is exactly what it will still look like. Here we have the site plan. You can see this is located at the intersection of Calabasas Road and El Cannon Avenue. The site plan shows the existing site with the area of work highlighted in white, and the units that are not part of the scope of work are grayed out here. The site is considered a shopping center because the Calabasas Municipal Code defines a shopping center as a group of retail stores that share that have similar complementary commercial establishments on a site that are planned and built as a coordinated unit with shared pedestrian and vehicular access and parking. So for a shopping center, the parking requirement is the same for all land uses other than restaurant uses in cases where restaurants exceed 10% of the total shopping center square footage. So because the previous tenant was Bodyworks, which is a day spa, the proposed tenant is a retail tenant. So that's a non-restaurant use to a non-restaurant use. The parking requirement remains the same. The existing center is non-conforming in regards to parking, but the proposed tenant will be continuing that same non-conformity that the center already has. We have the existing floor plan. You can see the smaller Suite 4 right here. It's previously a retail tenant, and Suite 3 here was previously occupied by Bodyworks Day Spa. It's a little too small to read here, but you can see this note right here shows where a wall will be demolished to combine these two suites. Here we have the proposed floor plan. This wall will be removed so that these suites can be adjoining. You can see in the proposed floor plans that the largest rooms at the front of the property will be the retail showrooms here. And then at the back of the property, we have various merchandise storage rooms, a break room for employees, an office, a few changing rooms, and then we have two restrooms, one in what was previously Suite 4 and one in what was previously Suite 3, as well as an equipment room for the store. I do want to mention that when this project is submitted to Building and Safety, there will be a suite number assigned for the overarching suite. It will likely be Suite 3. It will not keep the 2-suite designation. That just has not been accomplished yet. Here we have the elevations. This is the front of the building here, the north elevation. Then we have the south elevation here. And then the two sides of the building are the east and west elevation. And the buildings shown in gray are the buildings in the background that are not part of this scope of work. So all of the exterior of the building is to remain. The only change to the exterior is this door shown on the rear elevation here that faces the parking lot. So this rear exiting door is damaged. There are windows in the door currently, and because the door is being removed to be replaced with a door that is not damaged, the door is required to meet fire code requirements. So the door just needs to be upgraded to be replaced with a door that does not have windows in it to meet fire code. The door is not going to be changing in terms of location or dimensions. It's just going to be upgraded to meet fire code. Other than that, the remaining elevations of the building will be staying the same. I do want to mention while I'm on this slide that there's no change to the front of the building at this time, but when the applicant does submit for a sign permit application at a later date, that sign permit application will be subject to review by the city's Historic Preservation Commission in accordance with section 17.60.025 of the Calabasas Municipal Code. The city's land use table stipulates that a retail clothing store shall be allowed in the commercial Old Town zoning district only via a conditional use permit and only in locations that are in compliance with the Old Town Master Plan. So the Old Town Master Plan refers to this parcel at the corner of Calabasas Road and El Cannon Ave as Parcel 3 in the land use section of the master plan. And for Parcel 3, ground floor commercial retail is an encouraged use on that particular parcel. So Misfits Rep is a retail clothing company that specializes in high quality clothing that's made from resourceful and bio-based materials, including leather products that are made from apple skin. Misfits will also feature collaborations with well-known brands and artists, and art will be featured inside the store as well. The proposed hours of operation for the business are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sunday, with 3 employees anticipated on site during regular store hours. For high volume days, such as product launch days, up to 7 employees are anticipated. With that, I will move on to the findings. For conditional use permit, the proposed use is conditionally permitted within the subject zoning district and complies with all applicable provisions of this development code. The proposed use is consistent with the general plan and any applicable specific plan or master plan. The approval of the conditional use permit for the proposed use is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. And lastly, the location and operating characteristics of the proposed use are compatible with the existing and anticipated future land uses in the vicinity, which do include other retail tenants and restaurant tenants. With that, staff concludes that the proposed retail clothing and accessory shop is a conditionally permitted use in the CT zoning district. The project is exempt from CEQA review, and the proposed project meets all required findings for a conditional use permit. With that, staff recommends that the commission adopt resolution number 2022-739, approving file number CUP-2022-003. Thank you, and I am available for questions.
Thank you very much. Very, very complete and concise presentation. Thank you. Are there any questions before I open the public hearing? Commissioner Harrison.
Thank you. Jacqueline, why is this even, why do they need a CUP? I know it's in there, but we don't need CUPs for changes of clothing stores at the Commons or anywhere else.
One of the reasons why we'd gotten a few questions from members of the public as well. The purpose is to give staff a little bit more control over, and the commission as well, to give everyone a little bit more control over the Old Town area. So in the land use table of the municipal code, I believe all retail uses, I think the only one that may not be permitted at all was a nursery, I believe. All other retail uses require a conditional use permit in the Old Town zone in order to first establish a specific use in that location. So at a later date, a retail tenant in this location could take advantage of the same CUP. It just so happens that for this specific tenant space, they already have a CUP on file for a day spa, not for retail tenants.
But it seems to me like,
if I
is
could
there a
add
way
one
to
more-
change that to accept retail, clothing retail? I mean, this doesn't make sense to me.
Well, there's another part of this that I believe is actually more important, and that is Old Town is enormously non-conforming as to parking, for example. Primarily, that's the issue. And you allow a use, and a certain use can be this small for one, purveyor, and it could be this big for another. So not all retailers are the same. Not all of them generate the same level of parking demand. And the main reason for requiring a CUP is so that you can analyze things on a case-by-case basis in terms of their potential impact on the public roadways, the parking lots, and that type of thing, because they vary so much.
Except this is a new kind of clothing store. I mean, kind of avant-garde. So I don't think you can make that analysis. I mean, this could be a big draw, which is wonderful. I'm excited about this. So I don't think that's I'm not sure what the reason is. I think it should be revisited, and this shouldn't even be for the Planning Commission personally. But anyway, thanks for the answer.
All right, are there any other questions? Commissioner Washburn.
Has the applicant and is the team aware that the streetscape of Old Town Calabasas is significantly changing, and there will be significant operations, to improve, both the boardwalk, the, equipment that's on the sidewalks and streets. And, there's also a number of drainage issues that I think need to be addressed. And they don't affect the applicant or the building, but they do affect the, I guess, the efficacy of their trying to get this thing established and open for business while we're doing significant changes in Old Town.
I believe the applicant does have their hand raised if you wanted to allow them to talk, or not yet.
Well,
the hearing's not
I'm
open yet.
asking of staff if we did in fact inform them of, and are they fully aware of what's going to go on the streetscape project?
Not yet. I will make them aware. They are now aware. I'm not sure what the timeline is for the construction on the boardwalk to be finished. I can find out and I can let them know.
Well, I can tell you at this point, it's pertinent to our discussion because if we approve this and they get busy and then they say, oh, nobody told me that we're going to be digging up the sidewalks and changing the wiring and the drainage and everything else there, including the crosswalks and even some of the landscaping and streetscaping, it would be important to make sure that they're fully informed.
Well,
and there is a consensus company that's actually helping the various occupants and businesses along the roadway that I'm aware of. And that would be, I think, worth our while for everybody in planning to know that there is a consensus company that's dealing with this, and that everybody should be made aware that they are there to help us deal with the impacts of this significant change to the Old Town area.
okay, well, I think that the applicant has now been somewhat informed, but let's get the public hearing open and we can have a discussion. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, and Tom, we have the applicant.
I believe, is that Christian who chimed in earlier to make sure we could hear them?
Yes, I believe they're both under the same name. The applicant is Barbara Paderni.
Yeah. Do you have?
I've opened up so that they're not muted.
Good evening. We are together, Barbara and Cristiano.
Okay, great. Did you have any kind of presentation to make, or are you here to answer questions? And obviously, there will be a discussion regarding what Commissioner Washburn was just talking about. So are you here to answer questions, or did you have a presentation?
Yes, number one, we wanted to say thank you to Jacqueline. Your presentation was just impeccable, as usual. And we're here to answer questions. We wanted to also address Mr. Denny's concern. We are aware of the improvement, and we know that we are on tier 7.
Thank you.
So we know, but that's not going to give up. We are going to keep going with the project. And actually, we think that the look is going to be just fantastic. So thank you for bringing that up. We're very excited about the new design. And that's it. If you have any question, we are here for you.
Well, it sounds like you know that you're in tier 7, so it sounds like you've done some investigation and you know what's going on. So Commissioner Harrison, did you have something that you wanted to ask?
I have a question for the applicant. Are you going to have some extra security or sufficient security? Because we've had some grab and go, or whatever you call it, crimes in Calabasas. And I don't know if Old Town has a business group or district which can provide extra security, or you're providing it, or the city. But you know, this is going to be a very popular place, and I'm just concerned about that.
I'm just going to have Cristiano, the CEO of Misfit, to answer this question.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
Right. Yes, Mr. Michael. So we definitely are going to have security in place during business hours, and they're going to be, you know, on the back of the building and in the front of the building.
Oh, good. Okay, thanks very much.
All the time.
All right, are there any other questions of the applicant? All right, seeing none, hearing none, I am going to ask the applicant, have you reviewed the conditions of approval? And if so, are you prepared to comply?
We did review and we're prepared to comply.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And do we have any further discussion or do we have a motion?
I would move to approve this, but with the same change that we made for the other applicant regarding giving the community development director some discretion to extend the hours of construction, because again, I think if they run into a situation where they need to work past 6 o'clock, it should be okay. It may be okay.
Well, keep in mind that there is a residential facility behind.
Oh, right. This one's closer. You're right. You're right.
There is a
You're
senior
right.
housing behind.
You're
So,
right. So then I'll just make the motion to approve this, and if that's okay.
all right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I didn't get a chance to say though that I really do think this is a wonderful addition to the city. I don't think you all are aware of it, but to have this in Calabasas is quite a privilege, and I look forward to the store opening.
Terrific. All right, congratulations to the applicant, and this has been approved. All right, we are on to the director's report.
Okay. First, if any of you might not have heard, we have a new permanent community development director. Our interim, Don Penman, has moved on, and we have our new director. And it's in somebody you may have heard of, Michael Klein. So if you haven't already congratulated him when he's back from his vacation, please do so.
Yep.
Your upcoming meetings, April 21. It's a possible meeting because we have one item that was tracking for that. And at least as of this morning, it was still possible for that. It's a new single family home. It's actually a revision to a project that had been approved before. So it does have to come back. It has not yet been built, but they've revised it. So that's in a scenic corridor. So if they don't get things firmed up in time for the meeting, that'll be a canceled meeting. May 5th, we do have already 2 other items, so it could grow to 3 if that one bumps to it. The capital improvement program will be brought to you. That's our at least tentative date for that. And you haven't seen that in a few years, but that is something that annually is to go to a planning commission under state law before it gets introduced and incorporated into the annual budget. So if it doesn't make May 5th, we definitely would have to get it to the commission, the second meeting in May, so that it can be in the budget before council deliberates on that in June. Also for May 5th, we hope to bring to you an ordinance that will bring our development code for residential development and subdivision of property into conformance with recently enacted SB 9, a new state law that put some rules on what we can and cannot do in certain circumstances for lot divisions. And so we wanted to alert you that that will be forthcoming. Matt has been hard at work at crafting that language. And then the only other thing I have, I'm not going to try to project what's going to be coming to you in June at this time. The housing element update that you all forwarded to the city council was approved by the council at the last meeting. And it's already been submitted to HCD for their final review. Our preliminary feedback from them, I think that we may have revealed to you all when we presented it, it was positive, and we're expecting we can get their approval and certification. They do unfortunately have 60 days to mull over this. And so we may not get their final written answer for 2 more months, but it's in their hands. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Anything else from any of the commissioners?
Madam Chair, I'm a little iffy on May 5, or I'm sorry, what was the date in May?
April 21st?
No, the next one, the May one.
Yes.
May 5. Cinco de Mayo.
We have April 21st and we have May 5.
Yeah, May 5, I'm a little iffy. So Greg, if you're available, you may need to step in and cover that, okay?
Great.
Thank you for the heads up. All right, anything else? Commissioner Washburn.
I didn't want to drop a bomb on anybody, but if you haven't been paying attention, the modifications to the Old Town streetscape is a significant project, and the council has obviously appropriated the funding to get it done, and the contract has been let. The contractor is busy already. If you've driven through Old Town, you can see what's going on, and it has implications from the De Anza Hotel to the newly approved retail clothing store that we just talked about, because it will affect, ultimately, it's going to be terrific because it's going to improve a 25-year-old project that we put together way back when. And it will, in the meantime, however, create significant issues of traffic, and we should do everything we can to inform everybody who's dependent upon their business or their lifestyle in Old Town Calabasas to be aware of what's going on.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And I think you just informed a bunch of people.
I hope so.
All right. Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are adjourned. Thank you very much. And we'll see you April 21st.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you
night,
very
everybody.
much, everybody.
Thank
Good
you,
evening.
Ryan and Jacqueline.
Welcome aboard, Greg.
Thank you very much.